Today we're going to be analyzing a 2-round Dynasty Superflex Rookie Mock Draft. We're going to go pick by pick. We're going to go over the players. We're going to go over the values in the draft. This one was sent in by a subscriber, and we like to cover mock drafts on the channel because it gives us a good feel of the market, gives us an opportunity to talk about these players, and also talk about draft strategy. But before we do this, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because we're talking about rookie drafts every single day this offseason and after. And you need to be in the know so you're better at your rookie drafts. Click that button. Stop missing out. But we're here to the first pick of this rookie mock draft, the 101. It's Superflex. I think you know who it's going to be. And the first pick coming off the board is Caleb Williams, the 101. He's going to be the 101 in most drafts. Caleb Williams has top end upside. He already has the value. He is locked in there, ready to roll. And I think when we look at Caleb Williams, we're looking at a prospect that's going to hold value no matter what happens. As a 101 pick in the real NFL draft, he's going into a great situation. The Bears are building around him. He's got Keenan Allen now. We got DJ Moore. We got DeAndre Swift. So he's going to a situation where he might be able to tap into his upside early in his career. But now it's time to go to the 102. The 102 pick is very similar to a lot of other drafts we've looked at. Can you guess what that is? Coming off the board here at the 102, we're looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. Did not run at the Combine. Did not run at the Pro Day. It's not going to matter. Still getting drafted high. It's been between him and Malik Neighbors as your top wide receiver. Some people like Romo Dunze a little bit better. That's understandable. However, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, they're both my dudes. I have them as my top wide receivers. I have them both as generational prospects. You do not see wide receivers like this every single year. Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 102. I think that's a lock. I think we're going to see that in a lot of drafts this year. Marvin Harrison Jr. just being the guy. But at the 103 in a Superflex draft, that's when things can get different, because you got the quarterbacks, you got the wide receivers, and they're fighting for that top spot. So who do we think's going to be coming off the board here? So at the 103, the selection is Malik Neighbors, a generational prospect, going to get that top 10 draft capital, going to be getting that opportunity. He's going to hold his value in Dynasty. If he goes to the Chargers, he's going to be valued up there with the top wide receivers in the game, if not a little bit more. I'm talking about Justin Jefferson territory, or a little bit below that. That's going to be pumped up there by the market. But Malik Neighbors has a ton of upside. We're talking about a wide receiver who can get downfield, who's quick off the release, has a lot of bursts, very solid at the catch point as well. Dynamic, dominant, that's Malik Neighbors. But moving on to the 104, who do you think it's going to be? Who is the next player? Are we going to do the quarterback run here with the QB2 and the QB3? Is that happening? Or another wide receiver coming off the board? Here is their next selection. Boom. Drake Maye. And he's been pegged as a first-round quarterback for a few years now. Has been really looking good on film. Has been looking solid. He's going to be a top-tier selection in the real NFL draft. Drake Maye's going to get paid in the draft this year. Might be the QB2 to the Commanders, the QB3 to the Patriots. Unless some weird trade happens, he's getting that draft capital. I say he's going to be selected in this range no matter what in drafts, especially in Superflex. Maybe this pick, pick after, or the pick where Malik Neighbors went. But he's going to be getting that draft capital in rookie drafts. So who's next off the board? Is it Jaden Daniels, Brock Bowers, Romo Dunn? One of those guys? Who do you think it is? I doubt it's anybody else. But coming off the board here in the next pick, 105, Jaden Daniels. 105 is a good spot for a first-round quarterback getting drafted in top 10 range. Top 5 range, really. That's solid. 105, that's a good discount. He's going to hold his value for a year or two. Bryce Young's holding his value right now. Was productive at LSU. Looked good at it as a freshman at Arizona State. We got some upside here with Jayden Daniels. Say he goes to the Patriots. He might go a little bit cheaper in real life drafts. But still, a tremendous value considering that. Considering the Superflex juice in your league. Considering if quarterbacks are being held over a barrel, he might be a guy you want to look at here. You probably are going to look at here because of the roster building strategies you got to implement for your team, because quarterbacks, once your league's established, are hard to come by via trade in 2QB Superflex. On to the next pick. Brock Bowers or Romo Dunn. Who's it going to be? Who would you put in the spot? Who you drafting? Who is it? But we're looking at what they did. Brock Bowers, 106. Top tier tight end prospect with a ton of upside. Should be getting work early in his career. If he gets drafted by the Chargers, wheels up on the dynasty value. Might be 105, 104 range. Brock Bowers, though, if you're thirsty for a tight end, you got a first-round pick in this area. You're looking at him. You're looking at him pretty hardcore. And he's got a ton of upside, too. He's been productive throughout his collegiate career. We've been waiting on him to come out for the draft since he's been a freshman. On to our next pick, though, the 107. I think you know who's coming off the board here. Is it going to be a sneaky pick, though? Is someone going to jump him? I think not. Romo Dunn at the 107, and that's a good price to pay for a wide receiver. Getting drafted top 10, top 15 range, who has a ton of upside, did well at the combine, posted good numbers, was dominant, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 13 touchdowns last year, 6'3", 212 pounds, good size, adjust athleticism, can make plays downfield. We saw that in Pac-12 after dark games. Romo Dunn is a guy that you're excited to get at the 107. That middle to later part of the first round, you get a wide receiver like this, woo, you're talking about a 101, 102 pick in any other draft class. That's Romo Dunn. If he was in last year's draft class, you're fighting for the 102 behind Bijan Robinson. That's what we're talking about here with Romo Dunn. You're getting him at a good discount here. I would like to draft him a little bit higher than that, but still, that's how drafts work. Things change up, things get different, but we're going to the 108 pick here. This is where you can't really expect the normal. This is where drafts are going to get crazy until we get the actual NFL draft happening. At the 108 here, they selected Bo Nix. And they're chasing the Superflex juice. That's what they're doing here. Bo Nix likely getting drafted in the first round unless he's a faller. If he gets drafted in the first round, he's going in this range. Because in Superflex, you got to chase that quarterback. Because they're getting held over a barrel. And if he hits or is just so-so, you're getting value in return. He could be just a little below average quarterback that just sticks around for a few years. You're getting some value in return from the 108. That's the thing about that. Bo Nix is just a chip here that you're playing with if he gets drafted in the first round. 108, there's a lot of good wide receivers I like better. But the thing about Bo Nix, it's Superflex, roster, construction, strategies matter for Dynasty Fantasy Football. So you have to play the cards that are dealt. Moving on to the next pick here. And now we're going to start going heavy with wide receiver. We're going to start rocking the depth of the class. Next player off the board here, Braelon Thomas Jr. Getting him at the 109 in a draft. He's going to be a first rounder. Probably going to a team that is going to scream air yards at him. That's going to throw it deep to him downfield. Giving him all the opportunity to score fantasy points. And you're getting him at the 109. A player that's usually 105 or higher in most drafts. That's Braelon Thomas Jr. here. A lot of upside here. And I feel like getting him at the 109 is the greatest discount ever. But now we're moving on to the next pick. I don't know if you can guess who's coming off the board here, because it's really hard to do. Could be another wide receiver. There's also a quarterback that's getting a lot of buzz. And who's coming off the board? J.J. McCarthy. A lot of buzz right now. Could be a top 4, top 5 pick. Could be drafted in the middle of the first round. could be a big faller, could be being overplayed by the media. But if the buzz happens, if the buzz is real, he's getting drafted higher than the 110. If the buzz isn't real, probably Will Levis territory. 110 range is just being conservative right now. Looks like J.J. McCarthy, though, if he does hit that buzz, he's going to move up drafts. He's going to be drafted ahead of Bo Nix if he gets that for sure. He's going to be like 105, 106 range. Making these wide receivers, though, very interesting. Making the 201, 202, 203, 204, 205 picks early second round. I guess I should have said that to be more condensed, more interesting, because the players who are going to fall in that range is going to be very talented. That being said, we got to move on to our next pick here, and we're going wide receiver heavy. We got a fun wide receiver coming off the board, one of our favorites. You probably guessed it. You're probably hoping he does come off the board. For their sake, Troy Franklin at the 111. You're looking at a guy who's really comped to like Devonta Smith. Longer, lankier, but very productive, very nuanced, very smart, very cerebral. A very good polished wide receiver. You're getting him at the 111. Any other draft class, 106, 105 range, when you look at his talent, you're catching him at a good discount in rookie drafts right now due to the talent and value that you're getting. Due to the odds. The odds are saying he's highly likely to be productive for fantasy football. He's highly likely to get good draft capital. He's a very nuanced route runner. I like Troy Franklin a lot, but we got to look at the final pick in the first round. And there is a miscue on the sheet here, but we're going to look at it anyways. And that's Lad McConkey. It says 212, but it's 112 here. We're still in the first round. Lad McConkey, come on down. He is a supreme separator. Can get yards after the catch a little bit. We can play on the inside. We can play on the outside. Lad McConkey, when we look at this guy, we got some speed to burn. That's what the combine said. We do have some juice. The NFL seems to like him. The media definitely likes him. But when we look at the Lad McConkey profile, still did not break out at the collegiate level. We did play through some injuries. We got to throw that out there. But the tape checks out. The Senior Bowl checks out. The Combine checks out. So we are checking some boxes here. We got to check that big box at the NFL draft. If it's there, then you know what? You may have to spend that draft capital. I'm not a huge Lad McConkey guy, but I'm also pretty Bayesian when it comes to my players. And I do see how he can be productive. Right situation, right quarterback. It ain't going to matter if he was productive in college because he can create separation. And if he's got a quarterback that can wheel and deal it and he gets the draft capital, it's more than likely going to happen. The odds are for him. But recapping round one here. Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr. We know that. Malik Neighbors up a little bit higher than usual above the quarterbacks. We got to point that out. Romo Dunze is a great discount in this draft. J.J. McCarthy at 110. If he goes where people are saying he's going to go, he's going higher than 110. If not, he's probably going to fall a little bit farther than 110. So really, that's just the middle point, it looks like. Troy Franklin, I love the value. Brian Thomas Jr., I love the value. Lad McConkey, you're really waiting for the NFL draft to happen. But now we're on to round two. There's some players on the board here that are likely getting drafted in the first round. A lot of other leagues and a lot of other mocks. You're screaming for it right now. Drop that in the comments below who you want to be in the first round that's not in there. Because I understand. I wasn't in this draft. This ain't my draft. I'm just covering and I'm reacting. That's the big thing that we do here. We like to react. We like to cover the market. First pick in the second round, 201, Xavier Worthy, come on down. The combine alone really put everybody on notice. When you run that fastest 40-yard dash in the history of the NFL Combine, that speed put him on notice. Look at the stats down there. Broke out as a freshman and still held steady throughout his career. One of the few wide receivers in this year's class with an age 18 breakout age. On top of that, the only Power 5 wide receiver, age 18 breakout age, which makes things even more incredible than we killed at the Combine. Tape checks out. He creates separation. Good route running. Good release. Can play the deep ball. Can play the yak game. Can play anything really for you. So really, he's very versatile for a wide receiver. But we got to move on to the second pick here in the second round. We got to move it a little bit quicker. I don't want to keep you all day. 202, though. Coming off the board, Trey Benson. He is the RB1 in this draft that I wasn't in, but he is the RB1. The thing about him, highly likely to get drafted on day 2, had a very good combine. We are down with the thickness. Back-to-back 900-yard seasons. Touchdown rate pretty solid. 14 last year, 90 year prior. Really turned things up at Florida State. The thing about him, though, his tape checks out and it also doesn't check out. You got to say the good and the bad with him. Because if you're saying just the bad, then you're a hater. And if you're saying just the good, then you just got rose-colored glasses on. You might as well play devil's advocate with these players and just give people the truth. And honestly, he will miss some holes. He will extend plays out too far sometimes. But you see the power, you see the pop. He is very assertive. He will find the hole. He has got some good vision there, but not 100% perfect. But this is a running back class of not being perfect, of red flags. And it's just a body of running backs. And we're going to see which one or two running backs really stand up for a few years and give us some production. Could be Trey Benson, the combine, the size-adjusted athleticism, the potential of getting drafted on day 2 might lend to that. But we're moving on to the next pick at 203. Who's coming off the board? Another big name. Adonai Mitchell. He's going in the first round in a lot of drafts. He is. The fact that you're getting him at 203 here is a tremendous discount. Productive last year. Hell of a route runner. Can create separation. Can get downfield. It's going to get a good ADOT. It's going to have a good opportunity of scoring for your fantasy team. Might even get drafted in the first round. To the next pick at 204. Is this where the running back run happens? Or are we still slamming wide receivers? Or will a quarterback sneak in? To the 204, Braelon Allen. The big-bodied running back. Braelon Allen, 3.77 yards after contact per attempt. Very productive. Played injured in 2023. Still coming back from the injury. He said at his pro day that he's pretty much this close to being 100%. He pretty much said that. I might have to dig that up. Because I'm hearing people like downplaying why he did not run at the combine, why he didn't run, why he didn't look his best this year in 2023. You got to take the 2021, 2022, 2023 tape and put it all together. Also, you got to look at his receiving production. It went up this year, but kind of by default due to the change in offense. Not really a tremendous receiving back, but he can catch the ball. But he's not a guy you're going to put out in the slot and run routes with. He's also doesn't run really to his size, but he can. He came on notice as a freshman. He already broke out during his 2021 season as a freshman, and everybody was talking up on him in 2021 and 2022. Just 2023 happened, playing through those injuries. It was a little bit slower then, and everyone's down on him. But if we get back to his freshman and sophomore season, and we get into a good situation where there's opportunity, then Braelon Allen might light some things up for you. He might do something for you. The NFL draft will definitely tell us about Braelon Allen. That's the thing about that. If they don't like him, he's not getting drafted high. And that means we shouldn't draft him high. If they like him, we should draft him high. Common sense, right? Common sense. Let's just call a spade a spade. 205, coming off the board, Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is falling in drafts. I think 2 months ago, he was around the 105, 104, 103 in some of these. Because I get these drafts and I'm like, holy shit, you did not do that. You're just trying to cheese me. But Keon Coleman, 205. Pretty much almost broke out with 2 different collegiate programs. We can hang that on his hats. Also at the combine, probably shouldn't have ran the 40. Probably shouldn't have done that, but it wasn't a bad combine because we had good burst score metrics. Where he goes in the draft matters. I think the right fit matters for him. He needs a YOLO quarterback that doesn't care, that can throw it into tight windows. If we don't get that, probably not going to hit to his upside. Also, when you look at the statistics there, counting stat-wise, it's not hitting either. Breakout age, we broke out our second year at Michigan State, and we almost did at Florida State. We started the season off strong. got some cold streaks in there, if you want to call a spade. But still, Keon Coleman does have some upside. He's a good wide receiver at the college level, but can we make the leap to the NFL game? The NFL does need some bigger wide receivers. They said that with Jonathan Mingo. Well, at least the Panthers did. Not the smartest organization. At least last year there wasn't. But we have to see with that. Going on to the 206. Coming off the board here. Jonathan Brooks. Come on down. On tape, probably the best running back in this class. Probably the most electric, the most elusive, one of the better pass catchers. We got the ACL, though. You're going to have to wait a bit. With his talent, with what he can do, getting him at the 206, fantastic discount. I think that's a solid pick here. I'd be excited to get him here at the 206. Now to the 207. A draft dandy's coming off the board. Guess who it is? Being talked up heavy since the Senior Bowl. Roman Wilson, come on down. You know he's only had 2 100-yard games on his career. You can blame Harbaugh on that if you want. Something to note, 5'11", 185 pounds. Blew up at the Senior Bowl, creates separation, savvy route runner. Cheaper lad McConkey at this point, because he does have the speed. He did well at the Combine, but he kind of got overshadowed a bit because everybody else was just lighting the track on fire. Wasn't super productive, but did have a little bit of production. One of those wide receivers that has to get the draft capital, that has to go to the right fit. Also, if he gets peppered in the slot and gets used on the outside, it could be wheels up. But again, this is a draft with some good wide receivers in it with a lot of upside. But is the running back run still going on, or are we still slamming wide receiver? Because 208 is coming off the board right now, and it's Blake Corum. Blake Corum coming off the board. And this guy was super productive in 2022. But he got injured and then had to come back another year because that impacted his draft stock in a running back class that was jacked to the gills that the NFL did not like. But he had 18 touchdowns in 2022, was on the map there, super productive. His tape checks out. 2023, a little bit slower, but he's a lunch pail running back that can do a little bit of everything, and he's very dependable. On to the next pick, though. And this is one of my favorite players in the draft. I love where he's going right here. Let's show it. Coming off the board to a Marshon Lloyd. Size adjusted athleticism for days. We got pop off the step. We can catch the ball in the backfield. We showed that at the Senior Bowl. This whole draft season, we've been adding to the stock here. Looking good. His tape checks out. He's electric. I like Marshon Lloyd, and get a running back like this at 209. It's a great deal. It's a great deal considering how running backs work, considering the top tier of the talent at the wide receiver position has been flushed out, and now we're grasping for straws at this point. I think getting Marshon Lloyd at 209 is a solid get. But now we're going to 210 here. We got another player coming up. Is it a wide receiver, quarterback, or running back? Maybe we're starting to go tight end again. Maybe that's happening because the latter part of the second round, that tends to happen sometimes. But at 210, Michael Penix is coming off the board. Where does he go in the draft? Does he go at the end of the first round? Does he go in the second? Does he fall? What happens with Michael Penix? This time last year, middle of last season, before the bowl games, people were talking him up as a first rounder. He was productive. He was slinging rocks. 8,000, 9,000 yards in his last 2 seasons. 66 touchdowns over here at Washington. He was on notice with Indiana as well. We talked about him back then. But at Washington, he was putting up numbers, but he did have a good group of wide receivers. We got into the bowl game. We got into the national championship game. It did not look good. Not good at all. However, Michael Penix Jr., if he gets drafted into the right situation, we might be looking at him. If the NFL says, hey, we're going to pay for him, we're going to spend the first on him, he might be going up a little bit higher. That's just due to Superflex juice. But we are moving on to our next pick here coming off the board. We got a sneaky play here. We got a sneaky play, and I promise Steve Smith is not in this draft, and it's Malachi Corley. He's thick. He's thick. He's going to be in the slot, maybe a little bit on the outside. Very productive, especially in 2022. He's got that my ball mentality. He's got a lot of dog in him. Right situation, right spot, especially if that team needs a slot and they got a quarterback that can wheel and deal it, and there's a lot of volume in the offense. Wheels up. But we're moving on to the next pick. We're capping off this second round. Last player off the board here, Brendan Rice. One of my favorite wide receivers in this year's class. I love it that he's going in the third round of rookie drafts, because if I'm still looking at wide receiver, it's him. Ricky Pearsall is another one. I'm not in this draft. Ricky Pearsall needs drafted. A few other guys need drafted. Let me know that in the comments below. Brendan Rice, though, right situation, could be a wide receiver one, could be an alpha. He's got the bloodline for it. He's also got the assertiveness, breaking off routes, and at the catch point, which is good to see. But to recap the second round here, looking at that, it's pretty standard, but at the top end, we have some first rounders coming off the board with Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. The RB1 at 202 could be in the first round in the right spot. Braelon Allen, too. We got the running back run. Most of your running backs are going to be in the second round. So you may want to maneuver your picks in the second round if you want to stack up at running backs. But the running backs could fall in this draft too, and it might not be as lucrative as you want it to be. Keon Coleman's a big faller from like the 105 mid-first range, and now he's in the middle of the second round. Could be falling even more. Blake Corum, 208. Marshon Lloyd, I like him a lot. I was seeing him in the early third round, mid-third round, about a month or so ago. He's jacking up boards. Look for him to get even higher. Brendan Rice is a guy I like. He got drafted up a little bit higher than expected. I usually see him go in the third round. Malachi Corley got drafted. Michael Penix at 210. Could be in this range or higher depending on where he goes in the draft. Recapping round one real quick here. Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors. Neighbors, kind of sneaky there considering the other quarterbacks usually go ahead of him. At least one of them. Brock Bowers, Romo Dunze is a good value there. JJ McCarthy is going to be drafted higher if the buzz is real. Brian Thomas Jr., hell of a discount. Troy Franklin, hell of a discount. But this is a 2-round rookie mock draft sent in by a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button right now. Stop missing out on this content. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.